Cristiano Ronaldo stopped by his old high school to say hello, only to run into a childhood friend he never thought he'd see again. What happened next was unbelievable. Lucas Silva stood in front of the classroom, teaching the students the final lesson of the day. As he explained a math problem, his marker glided across the whiteboard, the faint squeak echoing in the room. The students listened attentively, but at the back, a few whispered and giggled, distracting Lucas from his explanation. "What's going on?" Lucas turned to ask the class, his voice calm but firm. A loud burst of laughter erupted, and Lucas stared at them with a stern gaze. The laughter stopped, but before he could probe further, the school bell rang. It was closing time. The students' chatter grew louder as they rushed out of the classroom. "I'm not meant to be here," Lucas whispered under his breath. But what could he do about it? Finally, the day was over. Lucas sank into his chair, the classroom now quiet and empty. He pulled out his phone to check his messages, his mind still lingering on the chaos of the day. Just then, Coach Martinez, an older man in his late 60s, walked in. "Hey, Lucas, how was class today?" Coach Martinez asked, his voice warm and familiar. Lucas looked up from his phone and nodded. "It was okay, but these kids are stressful." Coach Martinez laughed. "You think they're bad? I remember how you used to stress your teachers out. You were one of the troublemakers back then." Lucas shook his head, a small smile forming. "I wasn't that bad. I didn't act like the kids I teach now." Coach Martinez chuckled. "Well, I've got some exciting news, Lucas, and you won't believe what I'm about to say. Do you remember Cristiano Ronaldo?" Lucas stared at the coach's face, blankly trying to recall the name. After a moment, he shook his head. "No, I don't remember anyone with that name." Coach Martinez was shocked. "How can you say you don't remember Cristiano Ronaldo? CR7, the football legend?" Despite the coach's words, Lucas's expression remained unchanged. He still didn't recognize the name. Coach Martinez couldn't believe what Lucas was saying, so he pulled out his phone and scrolled through his photos. He showed Lucas a picture of Cristiano Ronaldo in a Real Madrid jersey. "Do you remember CR7 now? He was your classmate in high school. You guys were best friends. I coached you both in football back in the day. Remember?" Lucas took the phone and stared at the picture. The memories began to flood back. "I remember you two playing together on the field," Coach Martinez continued. "Lucas, you know you could have become a big star in football if you had pursued your career like your friend." Lucas handed the phone back to the coach, his mind now filled with memories of Cristiano. They had walked the same school halls, shared the same dreams. "So what about Cristiano?" Lucas asked. "He's coming to the football match on Friday," Coach Martinez explained. "I reached out to him on Instagram to see if the big star remembered his old coach. Surprisingly, Cristiano replied and said he'd be in town for the game." "This is great news," Lucas said, though his voice lacked enthusiasm. Coach Martinez urged him not to miss the game on Friday. But as the coach left, Lucas sat alone in the empty classroom, the words echoing in his ears. Cristiano Ronaldo was coming to St. Michael's High School on Friday. The thought made Lucas's heart race, but not with excitement, anxiety. Lucas picked up his phone and typed Cristiano Ronaldo into the search bar. Within seconds, his screen was filled with pictures of Cristiano, one of the biggest football stars in the world. How could he ever forget him? Lucas recalled their time in high school, right here at St. Michael's. They had spent countless hours on the football field, dreaming of becoming the next big stars in the sport. But while Cristiano went on to play for Sporting Lisbon and then Manchester United, Lucas's dreams were cut short. What happened? Keep watching to find out. Lucas and his friends had gone out one night to celebrate a friend's birthday. They didn't drink much, but on the way home, their car skidded on a wet road and slammed into a tree. Everyone was injured, but Lucas's injury was the worst, a severe fracture in his ankle. It took over 6 months to heal, but the doctor's words were crushing. "You'll walk again, Lucas, but you won't be able to play football at a professional level." Lucas couldn't believe it. He argued with the doctor and was determined to prove him wrong. But when he finally returned to the field, The pain was unbearable every time he tried to run or kick the ball. He knew his dreams of becoming a football star were over. Devastated, Lucas sobbed for months. His scholarship was revoked, and he had to give up on football. He pursued a different career, but things didn't get easier. In fact, they got worse. Lucas ran his hands over his face as he dropped his phone. There was no way he could have forgotten Cristiano. He had lied to Coach Martinez because he didn't want to face the truth that Cristiano had fulfilled the dreams they once shared, while Lucas was now a teacher at the same high school they had roamed together. Who would have thought he'd end up here? Not Lucas. But life hadn't been fair to him. He had lost everything: his wife, his car, his business, his money, and his house. Now, he was broke and homeless. Things hadn't always been this way for Lucas. After high school, he started a small recycling business and was doing well for himself until he ran into debt. Shortly after marrying his ex-wife, Maria, he watched his life crumble as his business suffered loss after loss. Lucas was forced to sell everything he owned just to survive and take care of his family. But it wasn't enough. One morning, he woke up to find himself without a wife or a dollar to his name. Now, he was a teacher, grateful that the principal had given him the job a month ago. It was his only means of survival. Lucas took his phone and scrolled through Cristiano's Instagram page. There were countless pictures of luxury homes, charity events, and stadium celebrations. The images sent a cold chill through Lucas. What would Cristiano think of him when he saw him now? Would he even recognize his old friend? Lucas sighed. He wasn't sure he wanted to see Cristiano or any of his old classmates. Shoving his phone into his pocket, he stood up and headed to the football locker room. No one was there. He quickly undressed and stepped into the showers, letting the warm water wash over him. This had become his routine. Once school was over, he would shower quickly and leave before anyone noticed he was there. But this time, Lucas stayed longer, lost in his thoughts of Cristiano and what could have been if he hadn't had that accident. Suddenly, the sound of female voices broke Lucas's thoughts. He froze in the shower, his heart pounding. He listened again and heard the voices growing louder and closer. What were they doing in the boys' locker room? He wondered. He held his breath, praying they wouldn't walk into the showers. The thought of the awkward situation if they saw him made his stomach churn. "Let's check the showers," Lucas heard one of the girls say. Panicking, he slammed the shower door shut with his hands. The girls screamed and ran out, laughing. That was close, Lucas muttered, breathing a sigh of relief. He quickly dressed and left the school premises. He knew he had to find another place to shower. He couldn't risk being caught again. As he walked into the cool evening air, his thoughts drifted back to Cristiano. Friday was only a few days away, and Lucas still hadn't figured out how to avoid the football match. He walked over to the library and buried himself in preparing for the next day's lesson. But no matter how hard he tried to focus, his mind kept replaying memories of Cristiano. Frustrated, Lucas closed the book and headed to the shelter where he slept. When he arrived, he greeted the other residents and went to his usual corner. The room was scattered with mats and blankets on the floor. Lucas lay down, pulled his blanket over himself, and stared at the ceiling. This time, he didn't fight his thoughts of Cristiano. Finally, he drifted off to sleep. The days went by quickly, and the day of the match arrived. Students buzzed with excitement about Cristiano's visit and the big game. Meanwhile, in class, Lucas rushed through his lessons, eager to leave as soon as the final bell rang. When the bell finally sounded, Lucas felt a wave of relief. The students packed their bags and left. But just as Lucas was about to head out, Coach Martinez stopped by. "Lucas, how was class today?" the coach asked. "Fine," Lucas answered, keeping his response short. "I hope you're not going to miss our game tonight. Remember, your friend is coming," Coach Martinez said. Lucas nodded, though he had no intention of attending. He stayed back in the classroom for about an hour before heading to the locker room for a quick shower. Most students had gone home or were in the gym, so Lucas thought he was safe. But then, something unexpected happened. As Lucas was about to undress, he heard a deep, familiar voice, along with Coach Martinez's in the locker room. It was too late for Lucas to hide. Standing right in front of him was Cristiano Ronaldo. Lucas froze, staring at Cristiano, as silence fell across the locker room. "Why do you look familiar?" Cristiano asked, his voice warm but curious. Both men were around the same height, but Cristiano's presence was larger than life. Coach Martinez stepped in. "Cristiano, this is Lucas Silva." Cristiano's eyes widened. "Lucas? No way!" he exclaimed, unable to believe his ears. "I can't believe this! What are you doing here, man?" Lucas hesitated, unsure of what to say, but Coach Martinez stepped in again. "He's a grade 4 teacher now." Cristiano was surprised. "Teaching? That wasn't your thing, man. We have a lot to catch up on, but that'll have to wait. Come on, let's go and address the team together." Lucas tried to decline, but Cristiano wouldn't take no for an answer. Cristiano spoke to the team with Lucas beside him, telling them about their days in high school and how they used to play football together. The students were shocked to learn that their teacher had once been Cristiano's teammate. After the pep talk, the game began. Cristiano made sure Lucas sat next to him throughout the match. They talked about the players, laughed together, and cheered as their team won. After the game, Cristiano took Lucas to a quiet cafe where they reminisced about their shared memories. The conversation was filled with laughter and stories of their glory days. Everything was going well until Cristiano asked, "So, what happened, Lucas? What happened to our dreams?" Lucas hesitated, then said, "Nothing." Cristiano stared at him for a few seconds, hoping he'd say more. But Lucas stayed silent. Cristiano didn't push. Instead, he gave Lucas his number and told him to call if he ever needed anything. Lucas thanked him and walked Cristiano to his car. Cristiano offered to drop Lucas home, but Lucas declined, saying, "My house is just around the corner, you don't have to worry." Cristiano left, though he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right with Lucas. Could he figure it out? Lucas watched Cristiano drive off and then strolled to the shelter, taking a longer route to avoid being seen. When he arrived, he found the shelter full, with no space to sleep. Lucas went outside and joined others sleeping on the sidewalk. He lay there, staring at the sky, tears rolling down his face as memories of Cristiano flooded his mind. Eventually, he fell asleep. But little did Lucas know, Cristiano had followed him. Sitting in his car, Cristiano watched Lucas sleeping on the sidewalk. Tears rolled down his face as he saw his childhood friend in such a state. "Let's go home," Cristiano told his driver. The next morning, Lucas woke up to the nudge of the shelter manager, Mrs. Rodriguez. "Lucas, wake up," she said gently. Lucas yawned and sat up. "Is everything okay?" he asked. Mrs. Rodriguez smiled. "Yes, everything is fine. But come with me." Confused, Lucas followed her to a waiting cab. "Where are we going?" he asked, but she just told him to be patient. The cab drove for a while before stopping in front of a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment. Lucas stepped out, looking around in confusion. "What's going on, Mrs. Rodriguez?" he asked as they walked into the warmly decorated house. Mrs. Rodriguez handed him a set of keys. "This is yours," she said. Lucas stared at her, stunned. "What do you mean?" She pointed to a glass table where an envelope lay. Then, without another word, she left. Lucas walked over to the envelope, his hand shaking as he read the words on it. "From your childhood friend, Cristiano Ronaldo." He opened the envelope and pulled out a document. "Oh my God," Lucas whispered. It was the deed to the house with his name on it. Cristiano had bought the apartment for him. But that wasn't all. As Lucas flipped through the documents, he found a check for $5 million. He fell to his knees, sobbing. This was overwhelming. After a few moments, Lucas grabbed his phone and called Cristiano. "Hello, Cristiano? Thank you, Lucas said, his voice breaking. Cristiano's calm voice came through the phone. "Just take good care of yourself, Lucas. And remember, I'm always a call away." Lucas couldn't believe what had just happened. He wondered how Cristiano had known about his situation. He later asked Mrs. Rodriguez if she had told Cristiano anything, but she denied it. Cristiano never mentioned that he had seen Lucas sleeping on the sidewalk the night before. Today, Lucas Silva is a successful entrepreneur in Lisbon, and he always says he owes it all to Cristiano's kindness. What do you think of Cristiano's actions toward his childhood friend? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. If you enjoyed this, check out the next video on your screen. You won't want to miss it.